Hey. So, how are you, everybody? Thank you for being here today. And merci à tous d'être ici aujourd'hui parce que j'ai une annonce très importante. I have some big news to share with you today. But first, I want to say and to speak a little about what's happening in our country these days. You know, you will understand that my announcement will make sense after that. Today, our country is at its lowest point in living memory. Yeah. And I believe that you agree with me on that. Yeah. So, I say with the confidence of experience that we no longer have the country I grew up in. Canada has changed dramatically and for the worse. So we need to be here and to do what needs to be done for this country. For years, we've gotten less and less for our dollar, and what we get is not the same quality as before. Inflation is eating away our standard of living. Government and household debt has skyrocketed. And as you know, our healthcare system is hopelessly broken. But even worse than the state of our economy is the state of our culture. We are living in a highly immoral times. Everywhere you look, you see examples of moral and cultural degeneracy. Radical cultural Marxists have seized control over our educational system, the mainstream media, and governments. They push a program of anti-life, anti-family, and anti-Canadian values. Gender ideology and the trans movement are promoting the confusion and mutilation of our children. It is very sad what is happening in our country. It is useless to debate with these extremists. There is no common ground. They seek only one objective: to destroy Canadian society as we know it and upend the traditional structures of life which have underpinned our civilization. Their insanity is undermining our traditions, our history, and our nation. The woke cult is demolishing the traditional pillars of our society and aims to establish a twisted and profoundly sick vision of the future. They are moving at a rapid pace. Do you remember 10 years ago, there was no drag queen story hour in our schools and libraries? 10 years ago, it would have been unthinkable to indoctrinate 7- and 8-year-olds and force sexuality upon them. Now you can go to jail for opposing the transition of your child. We are living in a completely different society, one overtaken by evil. Yes. And do you want to know the worst? So the worst part of that is as these pervert ideas are being pushed everywhere in Canada, there is not a single MP fighting against these in the House of Commons. Let that sink in. We are losing our society because a few people are fighting for it. The elites are totally on board with this radical transformation of our society. And those who reject it are silenced and smeared as intolerant, racist, and transphobic. And you might ask, what about the Conservative Party? What about our supposed to be Conservative Party? The so-called Conservative Party has conserved nothing since its inception in 2003, after the merger of the Canadian Alliance, with the Progressive Conservative Party. As I said, when I left that party in 2018, they are morally and intellectually corrupt. Whether it is gender ideology, mass immigration, climate hysteria, the cult of diversity, or abortion, the CPC has refused to fight the necessary cultural battles. They are too scared of negative coverage from the mainstream media and being called bigots. They have sat on their hands as the radical left has taken over our society. What is the Conservative Party of Canada doing today? Some of their most prominent MPs, including their deputy leader, promote so-called Transgender Day of Visibility. The men in that party walk around in pink high heels and prostrate themselves before radical leftists. They are not coming to the rescue. They will not stop the sexualization of our children. They will not stop cultural Marxists from rewriting our history. They have give up, and they're not ready to do the most important battle that we must do for our country. But I can tell you, I'm ready to fight. The PPC is ready to fight. And I left the Conservative Party for one reason. I know that if we do not fight for our values and culture, we will lose everything. That is why I'm proud to announce that I'm, putting my name forward in the upcoming by-election in your riding. I'm ready to be your representative in the House of Commons, because we know that families deserve a strong voice, and I'm ready to be that strong voice for you and for the country. This riding has a strong tradition of electing conservative-minded members of parliament. It elected a Reform Party member in the 1990s. And I believe that I'm the right person as the leader of the People's Party of Canada to represent its voters today. Today's fake Conservative Party have no real argument as to why we should vote for them instead of voting for the People's Party. They cannot compete with our policies, our ideas, our principles. All they can do is to attempt to smear us and scare Canadians into voting for them. Their tired argument that, oh my God, we split the vote makes no sense. And listen to me. The People's Party and the Conservative Party have very different policies and principles. It is not us. It is not the People's Party who are splitting the Conservative vote. On the contrary, it is the Conservatives who keep moving and moving and moving to the left to split the Liberal vote. This split the vote argument is even less valid today in the current situation, in a by-election. No matter the result of this by-election, the CPC will not form the government. We will still be with Justin Trudeau. But this is not an opportunity to get Trudeau out. But it is an opportunity to get a new voice in Parliament. The Liberals and the NDP are not competitive here. This is a two-horse race between the People's Party and the fake Conservative Party. This by-election is about giving a voice to the people of Portage-Lisgar. It's about your values. It's about who will represent you in the House of Commons to defend with passion and conviction your values and Canadian family values. And I believe that I'm that man if I have your support. Do you want a strong voice for families or another fake conservative who will say one thing when he's here in Manitoba, but be silent when he returns to Ottawa? Do you want a member of Parliament who respect and fight for family values, or another so-called conservative who takes your vote for granted? So, send me to Ottawa and I will speak out against the anti-family policy pushed by Ottawa elites. And I will do that right now during this campaign, before the campaign, during the campaign, and after the campaign, until we win the battle of ideas. And I believe that we will, because it's based on common sense, and common sense will always prevail. I must say that I'm sure some of you are wondering what this Quebecer doing running in southern Manitoba. How can he represent us? That's a good question. Over the past few years, since I founded the People's Party of Canada, I've been lucky enough to make many stops across Portage-Lisgar, even more so recently when I was building the team for that by-election. When I visit Winkler, Morden, Portage, and many other communities in this riding, I am reminded of both where I grew up, the riding that I represented for 13 years. Both is a rural riding with the same values, like you here in Manitoba. But I'm also reminded of so many special corners of our country that I had the privilege of visiting in my years campaigning to give a voice to the voiceless. When I talk to people here and across the country, I keep hearing that they feel forgotten by an Ottawa elite class focused on PEP social issues that are irrelevant to us. I have a message for those who feel forgotten here in Portage-Lisgar. You will not be forgotten anymore. I will be your voice in Ottawa, and I have been defending the same principles and policies and ideas and values consistently for many years. If you believe in these principles, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in freedom, responsibility, respect, and fairness, I'm with you on that. We will do that battle together. And I will fight, always fight for you and for all Canadians. And that's why I can say that I'm your man. I won't change and I won't compromise. The battle is too important, and that's why we can make history here in Portage-Lisgar, and we will do that together. I will be in the House talking about the issues the fake conservatives are too afraid to even discuss. And yes, I will work with them, with the fake conservative, and vote with the fake conservative whenever they find enough courage to try to work like real conservatives. That's a win-win for everybody. You will have somebody that will fight for your values, and when the conservative will find the courage to fight real conservative values, I will support them. I know that the People's Party already has a lot of support in this riding. In the last election, we had our best result across the country here in Portage-Lisgar. Thank you very much. We need to build from that support to be able to win, and we will do it. This is where we hosted, here in this riding, the biggest PPC rally in the party history. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was near Winkler. 3,000 patriots came out to support our fight for freedom. It was the biggest rally held by any political party during the last election. Just outside of this riding, I was wrongly arrested 2 years ago. And I will be in court next Tuesday to fight that. I was wrongly arrested 2 years ago for refusing to comply with immoral, unconstitutional, and very, very bad policies that they imposed on us. Yes, all these policies and mandatory vaccine passport, and remember all that time. So I was there to fight for freedom of choice, like I will always do. So these are just a couple of events that have drawn me to this area of the country over the past few years. And I can tell you that I feel a special connection to this riding. for the values that we share together. And I can tell you, this is where the renewal of our country will begin, here in Portage-Lisgar. Together, we will redefine what it means to be a conservative in Canada. One more or less CPC MP will not make a difference, but one People's Party Member of Parliament will offer more opposition against the radical left than the entire so-called Conservative Party. We saw during the COVID years just how morally bankrupt and ineffective the 119 CPC MPs truly were. For 2 years, every last one of them stayed silent, including their leader, Pierre Poilievre. They did nothing as the Liberals and the NDP worked hand in hand to steal our freedoms, destroy our economy, and coerce millions of Canadians to take unnecessary COVID shots. We have here, right now, a special opportunity. It's simple. The opportunity to jumpstart a much-needed political revolution in our country, to make history by electing the first ever People's Party Member of Parliament and adding a badly needed true conservative voice to the House of Commons. And for me, this situation today reminds me of a lot of the Reform Party of Canada. I don't know if you remember the old Reform Party.
Yeah.
Back in 1987, Preston Manning and the Reform Party was funded to give a voice, yes, to give a voice to frustrated conservative Canadians here in Western Canada. The People's Party policies are very similar to those of the Reform Party back then. The Reform Party first entered Parliament in 1989 when they won a single seat in a by-election. Like today, we are and will be in a by-election. In the subsequent general election in 1993, 51 more Reform MPs were sent to Ottawa, and the following election saw them become the official opposition. All the populist conservative Reform Party needed was a foothold into Parliament, a single seat, and then the floodgates opened. I can tell you, we can make history and do the same with that by-election here in Portage-Lisgar. Despite never forming the government, the years with the Reform Party in Parliament saw some of the most conservative governments in my lifetime. The Liberal minority governments, with Reform in opposition, were arguably more conservative than the subsequent Harper government. The People's Party will pick up the torch from the Reform Party and it starts right here, right now in Portage-Lisgar. And I can tell you that we have learned from the mistakes of the Reform Party. We won't merge with a corrupt political party. We will never compromise our values. We will fight until we win and restore sanity in our country. In 2023, a true conservative voice is more necessary than ever. The radical left has been unopposed for too long, and the impact that it has had on our culture is obvious. We need a strong voice for our families in Ottawa. The Liberals and the NDP attack on us and our families must stop. At the same time, the so-called conservatives forget about you until your vote is convenient during an election. This by-election is the starting of a major turning point in Canadian politics. Let's begin this common sense, populist, conservative revolution right here, right now, for the people of Portage-Lisgar and for all Canadians. Let's do that together. So it will be a nice challenge, and I'm asking right now Justin Trudeau to call that by-election as soon as possible, because I'm ready, you are ready, and the country is ready for that common sense revolution. Let's do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. For the media in the room, we'll just need 2 minutes to set up, but we'll have media availability off here to the right. For everyone else, please stick around. Max will do the rounds and shake some hands and take some pictures after the media availability. But thank you so much for coming out today, and let's get this done.
Opinion sur l'agriculture, sur la défense du français dans les communautés françaises qui vivent dans des minorités
Il n'y a rien de mieux.
majorités anglophones. C'est quoi votre opinion sur ça qui est propre ici au Manitoba?
Bien oui, il n'y a rien de mieux qu'un francophone, qu'une personne qui parle français, un francophone, pour pouvoir défendre le français partout au Canada. Et c'est pourquoi que j'ai choisi ce comté-ci, parce qu'il y a une minorité francophone et je veux en faire partie. Donc, et pour les fermiers ici au Manitoba, c'est toute l'hystérie autour des changements climatiques. Toutes les règles qu'on leur impose, en commençant par la fertilisation et tout ça, viennent de l'accord de Paris, viennent des objectifs de l'accord de Paris pour réduire les gaz à émissions, le CO2. Nous, on est le seul parti politique qui dit non à ça, qui va se retirer de l'accord de Paris, et tous les problèmes que les agriculteurs ont maintenant avec la réglementation qu'on leur impose viennent de l'accord de Paris. Donc, on leur offre la solution. Et le Parti conservateur, autant que le Parti libéral ou NPD, croit à l'urgence climatique, que demain matin, c'est la fin du monde. Nous savons que le climat change et va toujours changer, mais il n'y a pas d'urgence climatique. Il faut revenir au gros bon sens. Et juste le fait de se soustraire de l'accord de Paris va faire en sorte qu'on n'imposera pas des règlements qui sont coûteux pour les fermiers et pour les consommateurs.
You're facing off against a federal conservative candidate. You're facing off against a federal conservative candidate that occupies some of the lane that you're in. He's anti-mandate. He's anti-restrictions. Are you worried that, he's going to steal some of that vote?
No, because people understand that, when he'll be in Ottawa, if he's elected, when he'll be in Ottawa, he will be silent, like the Conservative Party of Canada. The Conservative Party of Canada was nowhere to be seen during the COVID hysteria. And I believe if you want a real fighter, you want somebody that will fight where you need that person. And I was the only leader of a national party that was ready to do that fight for freedom. And that's why, I was handcuffed and put in jail for a non-crime here in this province because I was fighting for freedom for everybody, the freedom of choice. And I said we must unite every Canadian under the freedom umbrella. So he can say everything that he wants, but there's nothing to back that. And actually his party and Pierre Poilievre voted for all these draconian measures, and they voted for the huge deficit that we had because they said we must lock down the country, you must stay at home, and we'll give you money that we don't have, we'll create that huge deficit, and now we are paying with the inflation tax. So he's not credible, and his party is not credible, and he won't be able to fight for people in this riding.
But with the restrictions and lockdowns in the past, some of the people that maybe voted for your party in this riding and elsewhere across the country, are you not worried they could go back to the Conservative Party? Because some observers say Mr. Poilievre has taken the party to the right. So are you worried you could lose some of that support?
Mr. Poilievre was a Conservative during the Conservative leadership contest. And now what he's doing to be Prime Minister, his only goal is to be in power. And what he's doing is doing politics based on survey and focus group and not on conservative conviction. And his goal is to have the seats in the GTA in Toronto and in Vancouver. There's more seats in GTA than in all Alberta. So for him to be in government, he will please these leftists and liberals voters in the big cities in this country. Poilievre is going to the left, and it's only the beginning. So he's afraid. He's afraid to speak about abortion. Yesterday, you had a march anti-abortion in Ottawa. Did you see Poilievre there or any Conservative MP? We are the only country in the Western world that didn't have a legislation on abortion. Legally, you can have an abortion 2 hours before giving birth. For me, it's a murder. And we need to have that discussion. We need to reopen that debate, like the climate change debate. We need to open that debate. Poilievre voted for the Paris Accord in 2017. I did not. I was a Conservative at that time, and I did not. I'm always in line with my values. I'm not doing politics based on survey or focus group. We believe that we have the best idea, and the more we speak about it, the better it will be, and the more support we will have. We started that party at 1.6%. We were supposed to be dead after the first election. All the mainstream media and the commentators were saying, that's it for Bernier. We worked very hard all across the country. We had 5%. Now you're telling me because that 5% was because of COVID. At the next election, we'll speak about immigration. I'm the only leader who wants to stop mass immigration. When you have 500,000 newcomers every year on a population of 38 million people, that's mass immigration. We have a housing crisis in this country because of mass immigration. Poilievre won't speak about that because he's pandering to the new immigrants in the big cities. So there's a lot of difference between us and the Conservative. That's why we are not splitting any vote. If you want to split something, you split something that is uniform. We are different. You cannot. If you look at climate change, I can go on. Poilievre doesn't want to balance the budget. He's supposed to be a fiscally responsible Conservative. He won't balance the budget. He say, I like big fat government that is interfering in provincial jurisdiction. I will keep the government big like that. I will freeze the budget. That is position. I will cut government spending and replace that by conservative spending. We have a policy to balance the budget in the first year by cutting foreign aid, by cutting CBC, $1.2 billion, and actually the same thing with corporate welfare. Where was Poilievre when the federal government gave $13 billion to one corporation? one corporation, $13 billion is half the budget of the national defense to one corporation. That's corporate welfare. Poilievre was nowhere to be seen because that money is going to a conservative riding. And he said, oh, I don't want to speak against that because I will need that MP to be elected at the next general election. So there's a lot of issues that we can discuss right now and at the next general election. So don't tell me that we are like Poilievre. We are not, and I'm proud of that.
How much time will you spend in this riding?
All the time that I need. That's why I asked Justin Trudeau to call that by-election this weekend as soon as possible. I'll be on the ground with our team, and I'm very pleased. We are building the team. For us, it's a new beginning, and I will work hard to be able to be elected, and that will be only the beginning.
Would you be here for the entire by-election period?
I believe so, yeah. I just look at my agenda, and everything is clear. I just have a speech to deliver in Calgary next weekend, but my agenda is clear for that by-election. So I'm waiting Trudeau, and I'll be there full time. But I'm here today, and I will travel across the riding to meet more people and have a strong organization in every corner of this riding.
Where do you live?
Speak to us from the perspective of a father and a husband. The agendas that are coming into this area, it's a tidal wave of wokeism that's sweeping the country. Soji, which has its origin in BC, the sexually explicit books, the pornographic, as some people books, the agenda of all that.
Yeah.
How do you comfort the people? Because it's our belief in this area, as I live in it, if you come out on a strong stance on morality and family values, which you are making a stand on, and your convictions are on your sleeve, I think you're going to come out ahead of the pack.
I won't change during that by-election. I'm the same guy. I will fight for the family values like I did. What I said at the 2019 election was the same thing at the 2021 election and will be the same thing at the 2025 election. We are different. That's why we are doing politics differently, not based on survey. But speaking about that issue, that's important. I'm speaking against that. But people must understand that education is a provincial jurisdiction. I'm asking Canadians, if you don't like what is happening in our school, stand up and be a candidate for your school board. Be part of the change. Be the change. I will help you. I will speak for you. But I'm doing politics at the federal level and will do everything at the federal level to influence these school boards all across the country that are not doing their job.
Monsieur Bernier, en français, s'il vous plaît, un petit peu. Vous surfez un petit peu, si je ne me trompe pas, sur toute la controverse autour des livres d'éducation sexuelle ici au Manitoba. Il y a eu un petit groupe de parents d'élèves qui ont souhaité leur retrait. On comprend bien ici, et je pense ne pas trop assumer que votre position est le retrait de ces livres d'éducation sexuelle dans les librairies.
Absolument.
Pour quelle raison est-ce qu'il faudrait les retirer?
Pour quelle raison? Parce qu'on essaie de sexualiser les enfants maintenant, aujourd'hui. Et c'est pas la place de parler de ça. Et surtout, ces livres-là sont pour des jeunes étudiants, des jeunes enfants.
Avez-vous lu
Ben, j'en ai une copie, je regarde cet après-midi actuellement. Mais ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que j'ai eu des discussions avec les gens qui prônent le retrait de ces livres-là. Et suite à nos discussions, ils m'ont convaincu. Et absolument, ça fait partie de la théorie du genre, ça fait partie du wokeism qui est imposé partout. Mais qu'est-ce que je...
Prenez la théorie inverse des parents qui disent « nous, on veut avoir le choix de laisser à nos enfants la possibilité, si on en a envie, de leur faire lire ces livres ». Parce que vous prenez la liberté et le choix de chaque individu, c'est pourquoi ne pas laisser le choix aux parents qui le veulent d'éduquer leurs enfants comme ils le souhaitent.
Mais ce que je tiens à vous dire, c'est que maintenant, on n'a pas de choix. Ces livres-là sont imposés et ils sont dans les bibliothèques actuellement. Et moi, je dis, si un parent veut avoir ce livre-là, il a juste à se le procurer. Il est libre d'aller dans une librairie et d'acheter ces livres-là et d'éduquer ses enfants sur la sexualité à bas âge, si le parent veut le faire.
Selon vous, pour éduquer un enfant à la sexualité, M. Bernier?
Ça, je laisse ça aux parents. Les parents sont plus compétents que moi pour savoir comment éduquer leur enfant que moi-même.
Donc vous dites que les parents ont le choix d'éduquer leurs enfants à la sexualité quand ils le souhaitent, et en même temps vous dites
Il y a pas de...
on devrait retirer ces livres
oui, mais
parce qu'on les impose aux parents.
Il n'y a pas de contradiction. Il n'y a pas de contradiction là-dedans. Les livres sont là et sont imposés actuellement et on les utilise dans les écoles. Moi, ce que je dis, on devrait les retirer. Et si un parent veut parler de sexualité avec son enfant, il est libre de le faire et d'acheter ces livres-là.
Mr. Bernier, you've talked about wanting to get into the debate. Yeah. Do you feel this is your best chance, this riding? If you win,
The national debate?
Yes, to win here, and I guess win in a general. Do you feel this is your best chance to get in that debate?
I will be in the national debate because, remember, in 2021, they created a new rule for the People's Party, and they said, because I was in the first debate for us in 2019, I was part of the national debates. And they said in 2021, we don't want the PPC, so they created a new rule. They said, your party will need to have 4% of the vote to be part of the national debate. We had 5%. So I can tell you that I will be part of the national debates, and I can tell you that will be a real debate, and that will be interesting because I will answer questions and I will challenge these other establishment leaders.
Will the court case, and perhaps the conviction, would that impact your ability to run as a candidate in any way?
No, absolutely not. You know, actually, it will be next Tuesday. I hope that you'll be able to come and look at that. But for me, that will be an opportunity for people in this riding to remember the fight that I did for their freedom of choice. And, you know, I'm there, I will be there, and I will fight, and we'll see what will be the result after that hearing.
Are you prepared to move here if you win?
Absolutely. I had a couple of discussions with my wife, and so I believe that she's on my side on that. So, yeah.
Mr. Bernier, just on a finer point, just one topic. The sexually explicit books. There have been many people, now you're in our riding,
yes.
And there have been people that are in this room that have gone to council, they've done their due diligence, yes. And I know what you're saying, it's provincial. But as the representatives to this area on the federal level, what do you say to the council members that are turning a blind eye and pushing these people out of council, not even allowing them to bring forward the actual books and read them in council? What do you say as encouragement to the council and to the people that are presenting?
It's a shame. They've been elected to represent people in this riding at the school board, and they must at least listen to them and being open to listen the other argument. You know what is happening there right now? It's what happened 2 years ago about COVID-19. They censor us, the other point of view. And by the way, we were right. That vaccine was not safe and was not effective. Now we have the proof about that. So they're doing the same thing. They don't want to debate, and that's the problem in our society. If you don't share the unanimous point of view, you cannot debate. They will cancel you. So I'm very pleased that today you're here. You didn't cancel me. So thank you very much, and I hope that you'll follow my campaign because it would be very interesting.
Mr. Bernier, pardon my ignorance, sir. Are you the automatic candidate for the by-election, or do you have to go through a nomination process here?
No, I'm the one. I'm the one.
I'm not familiar with your rules. So there's no nomination process, you're the candidate?
There's no nomination because the members of our party in this riding decided to go ahead with me as the candidate.
What happened with Solomon?
I spoke with him actually 3 days ago, and he's supporting us, and so I'm very pleased. And you know, Solomon did a good job. He had 22% of the vote at the last election, the best score all across the country. And he was young, 22 years old, and now he's building his professional life. But I'm very pleased that he allowed me to run for this by-election.
So did you ask him or tell him?
I had a discussion with him. I said, you know, what do you think if I'm running here in the by-election? And he said, you know, I didn't have any intention to run, so that's why I'm here.
Mr. Bernier, I'm from Winnipeg Alternative Media. I just wanted your opinion on, you know, that the mainstream media didn't really cover I call it a pandemic because that's what I think it was. Can you do anything to regulate or to do anything so the mainstream media covers this kind of thing properly?
No. You know, the mainstream media must be independent. And now they're not. They're dependent. CBC and others that received money from the government. We will cut that funding. We want the mainstream media to be really independent. And like that, they will do what I don't want to tell them what to do. It's not my role as a politician. I don't want to be like Justin Trudeau. They need to be independent, and they will, because we will cut the funding that the federal government gave, about $500 million to the mainstream newspaper, the mainstream TV station. We'll cut that. And if they're good, they will have funding from their viewers and they'll be successful. And I believe that you're good guys and you'll be able to have funding from your viewers.
Conrad Black spoke in Winnipeg here at a great luncheon. It was packed out. And when he was asked about defunding the CBC, he had a very different perspective. He said rather than defund it, fund it and control it.
No.
And I wanted to know how you would push back on that.
No, I believe in freedom. And we're not supposed to be in an authoritarian country. But what happened during COVID-19 with the Emergencies Act and the vaccine passport and all that was not in line with our Constitution. I want the media to be independent. And if they want to write something not so good about me, that's their choice. They have to be independent, and I'm ready to argue with them. So no, the federal government and any government must not have any say to a newspaper or a media. They must be 100% independent.
What about the National Citizens Inquiry? How familiar are you with that? It's going across the country. People are watching.
Yeah, it's sad that the mainstream media is not speaking about that. There's prominent doctors from U.S., from Canada, from other countries that are coming, and when I have time, I listen to that. It's great, but it's another question that the mainstream media doesn't want to have that point of view out there. But it will be out there. We have the truth and the time on our side. We just need to be patient, and we will win.
Let's take some questions from the remote viewers.
Yeah. Okay.
You could just say that right in the mic.
Any question?
Travis?
Is there one?
Travis, do you have any questions from our remote journalists?
Yep, sorry, you guys are a little bit quiet. So we do have a few questions. We will start with Catherine Levesque from National Post.
National Post? Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hello there, Mr. Bernier. Obviously, the by-election has not yet been declared, but what happens if you don't win Portage-Lisgar? And are you going to stay on as leader of the PPC?
Sorry, what is your question? What happened?
If you don't win in Portage-Lisgar, will you stand as leader?
It's a fight. What happens if you don't win?
I'm the leader. I will stay the leader. And, I'm in shape. I like what I'm doing. And I believe that I can win. But if I will fight and I will travel across the country and I will be ready for the next general election.
Okay, great. And, you mentioned abortion in the previous questions. When you were in the Conservative government, you were pro-abortion. Now you're against it. So I was just kind of wondering if you could, tell the voters what changed and at what point did you, change your mind on that issue?
I'm not using that vocabulary, pro-life or pro-choice. My personal view about that, I said I'm against, and I always said that late-term abortion and sex selection abortion, and we must reopen the debate. And I know in our party we had and we will have candidates that are pro-choice and pro-life. But that's okay. We need to have that debate. That's what I'm asking. That's what I want to do. So I said that at the election in 2019, that I was against late-term abortion and for being sure that we will be able to reopen that debate. Another question?
If I could follow that question up, the official policy of the PC party is a one-line entry in their handbook about abortion, and it says they won't have a policy on it. How do you respond to that now? Because you've brought up the abortion debate here.
Yeah,
it's a great one.
because I respect people. I respect their point of view. But it's a personal decision, it's a question of conscience, and we must respect that. I want to impose, like the Liberals or Pierre Poilievre, their point of view on abortion. Pierre Poilievre is pro-choice and Trudeau is pro-choice, and they don't want to reopen the debate. For me, that's why I'm welcoming everybody, and let's have that debate in Parliament. We are the only Western country where we don't have a legislation on abortion. So we need to have that discussion. So that's why I don't want to impose my point of view. And but I want to tell you that I will fight. Like I said in my speech, I will fight for life, and I won't fight for the cult of death that we have in this country. That's the opposite, my position, and we must celebrate life. We must not try to to change children and mutilate their body. Gender dysphoria exists, and in my time when I was a little bit younger, that happened, but you were able to have a discussion with your parent, and you were able to have a discussion with a professional healthcare, a doctors or a nurse, and now it's illegal. Poilievre voted for the bill C4, and all the conservative MP. If you want to have a discussion with your kids who think that he's born or she's born in the wrong body, you cannot have that discussion. It is criminal. We must change it, and we will.
So the law
Any
recently.
more questions from the remote audience? Travis, do we have another question from the remote audience?
Yes, we do. Next, we'll have Alex Dhaliwal from Noble News.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Bernier, for taking my questions. I'd like to begin by asking, so last federal election, your party gained a modest uptick in support owing to your party's direct opposition to the draconian COVID lockdown measures. Now that the pandemic is in the past, what are some of the key platform ideas that your party is going to be pursuing to win over support, not only in this Manitoba riding, but federally as well?
Yeah, we will do what we did in the past and promote family values and put families first and have that discussion about the cultural war that we're having in this country. So we are saying no to wokeism and the radical leftists. I can tell you that will be important. And yes, I spoke about abortion, and we need to have a legislation on that. Actually, Poilievre and the Conservative won't say anything about that because it's not politically correct in these days to speak about that. But for us, we are for the common sense, and nothing will stop us to speak about our values. So I believe that will be an interesting campaign, and I'm here also to listen to people from Portage-Lisgar and be their voice when the time will come in Ottawa. So I can speak about, also the gender ideology. These days, there's no such thing as two sexes if you listen to the establishment politicians. But for me, it's biological. There's only two sexes. And let's have that discussion about the transgender ideology that they try to impose on us in our country right now.
And for my second question, Mr. Bernier, so a former PTC riding president, Shane Marshall, was sentenced to a conditional 90 days of house arrest. Now, will you be? I'll give you the opportunity to condemn any political violence that we see, because unfortunately, when we see it from the political left, politicians are not open and willing to condemn that. But I'd like to give you that opportunity to do so now.
First, this party believes in personal responsibility and individual freedom. Everybody must be and is responsible of their own actions, the good ones and the bad ones. So, I won't, that case is in front of the court, but he must be responsible for his actions, and that's why that is what I'm promoting in politics.
Thank you.
Yes?
No, I think we're good. Yeah.
Thanks. You're good?
Okay. Thank you.
Another one there?
We have 3 more here.
Okay, 2 more.